stopped it because nothing was happening. Yeah. So is it that calmness, is that a respite from when you're not meditating? I get the feeling that you frequently feel a lot of tension in your body. Is
There
it
is still tension.
right still there, right? Does the nature of it change?
I guess in meditation, I would be more aware of the space around it.
Mhm. Does that space seem to support something?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if the support is the right word. Mm.
Mm.
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Um, Things are still coming up. Like how to know if things are being let go or released.
When you say things are still coming up, are they repetitions of earlier things or are they new things? Do they seem, yeah, but put it more, do they seem to be the same old things that are coming up, or do they seem to be always something a bit fresh, a bit new?
The same, but maybe slightly different.
Mhm.
Maybe different in intensity or different in perspective.
Mm. So logically speaking, and I guess experientially, although it may not seem that way to us, everything that arrives now is fresh, is new, even if it seems to be the same as something else. However slightly it might be, you have changed from a moment ago, from a day ago, from whatever. Because there is constant change, which is kind of tricky to to see that although change is conceptual, the reality is there's always only this, and this now is different to this a moment ago, because this a moment ago is now only exists as a memory. It's conceptual. But when it happened, it was an experience. And so, however subtly, it changes you. But the real question isn't whether or not it's the same stuff that's coming up, but rather, is it the same trigger that is stimulating it? So the same trigger could constantly bring up variations of something. So we could even have, I mean, this is fairly subtle stuff. We could even have, we could even be letting go of what comes up, yet the trigger for it unresolved continues to produce responses, reactions. So how do you know if you're letting go? Thoughts that arrive here say it doesn't matter. Everything that arrives needs to be treated as something fresh, regardless. So the idea of letting it go is linked to the idea of moving forward, the idea of improvement or change with a purpose. It's natural, of course, to want to know that we're improving, that we're getting somewhere. But really, it's irrelevant. If stuff comes up, and that's what it is, it's stuff coming up. Whether it's different to what came up before or better than what came up before doesn't matter. It's stuff coming up, full stop. It can't really be the same stuff. Every time that we experience something, it changes us. And because it changes us, even if what comes up is theoretically the same, because we're different, it's going to affect us differently. So it's got to be different. I know that's a bit convoluted. It's going around in circles kind of thing, but yeah. So what's behind your question? Do you want to know if you're getting somewhere? A way to find out would be to say, if you're not letting go of something, do you feel differently, have a different response to it than if you are letting go of stuff that comes up?
I feel like maybe I was expecting to have a different response or a different reaction to things.
I would say that you are. However, these things, if we measure it against yesterday, it's likely that we won't see much difference. But if we measure it against a year ago, we may find quite a bit of difference. So it's they're subtle. We change. We change. I mean, we do hear of people, and we know of people that seem to have radical shifts, very big shifts. But in most cases, most of the time, the changes in us are so subtle that we don't notice them as they're happening. We can only notice them if we compare them to a significant time ago. So although I get the impression that you spend a lot of your time, you have a very active body. Your body is responding in a fairly volatile way a lot of the time. Would you say that what you experience today is the same as what you experienced 6 months ago? Does it feel like it's the same?
I can't remember exactly, but maybe the theme or like maybe the expression is different slightly, but the core not or is not resolved.
Hmm.
And it's hard to relax. It's like whenever I try to relax, the contraction can get subtler, but it's almost as if to be aware of the contraction is like for the contraction to disappear is like almost I have to disappear with it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
I almost when I get to that edge, I almost always fall asleep.
Mm. I get that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what immediately jumped up in my mind is that you are identified with that contraction. If, if we put that in another way, it is you. So without that contraction, you can you ever remember, can you remember ever being without that body response, without that contraction, without that tension in your whole life? Can you ever remember, not that you'll remember what it was like, but can you remember that it happened or that it wasn't there at some point?
Not as a feeling, but I
No.
can assume that
Yes.
it's not.
Yes. Of course, we would assume, logically speaking, it would have arrived probably a bit slowly when it first arrived, but yes, and then you suddenly realise that it's been there for a while. But we're talking most of your life, really, certainly that you can remember. Would that be right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So does it logically make sense to you that you are identified with that it is the way rum is to be that way?
yeah, it feels like the center of what it feels to be me.
Mm, mm. Which interestingly means that to get rid of that could be a really scary idea, that without that there is no Rames, that you won't exist anymore. You have a vested interest in keeping it. Is that going too far, do you think?
No,
Can you even
I think,
imagine? Go on, go on, you go.
yeah, I think my mind is holding, wants to survive, I guess.
Mm, of course, it's quite natural. Can you even imagine that body, that meat suit, able to feel comfortably relaxed? I don't mean so relaxed that you can't stay upright or move, but comfortably relaxed without that extreme tension, that spring wound up to the point where it's exhausting. Can you imagine being relaxed and calm?
To some degree.
To what degree?
That the contraction would be very subtle and vibrating like in a very low vibration.
A low frequency vibration?
Yeah, it's almost,
Yeah,
I can feel
slow.
it, but it's not as intense as it usually is.
Mm, mm. So would it be accurate to say that when that tension is really intense, that the frequency is much higher?
I'm not sure about the frequency, but it feels more agitated,
Okay, yep.
more
So the
active.
yes, but not active in a constant way, up and down, in and out, much more
Yeah, it's
chaotic.
like,
Yeah.
yes,
So we do. It's obvious, of course. I'm stating the obvious here that we do need a certain level of tension in order to operate. We need enough tension to be able to activate muscles and stand upright, kind of thing. But when muscles that could be relaxed are still tense, then it becomes over. If it's constant, it becomes quite pathological. It becomes exhausting. It's using up incredible amount of energy. Do you can you associate tiredness with that tension?
yeah, frequently.
I'm inclined to think, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I'm inclined to think that it's not that you don't know how to let go of that, but there is the idea of being relaxed is so foreign to you that it's scary, and that's the reason why it's still there. If I said to you, tell me the first thing that comes to mind with this, which seems like a crazy question, but what do you think the advantage is of all of this stress that you experience, that vibration and tension? Don't think about it. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Fear.
So the relationship between the tension and the fear, is that tension helping you avoid the fear or keep away from it? Or what do you think that, how is it, what's the relationship to that?
It feels like bracing for impact.
Say that again. I missed it.
And bracing for impact.
Bracing
Like
for, yeah, I got it. Bracing for impact. Yes. Okay. Okay. So it's a protective thing. Yeah. And first thing that comes to mind, from where do you think that impact is coming or might come from? Where did it come from? Where would it come from? Inside you, outside you, where?
from behind me.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you can't see it coming. It's just gonna, you've just got to be ready all the time for it in case it happens. I'm only speculating. I need you to go yes or no about those things when I say them. Yeah.
Yes.
Another way to put it would be from somewhere unseen. Could you say that you've actually ever experienced the happening that you would call that impact? Have you ever had that impact?
There are some memories,
Oh, so
things
some memories
related,
recently or a long time ago?
like long time ago.
Right. Yep. How how big were you, as in age? Were you a child, a little teenager, young adult, mature?
The the
Don't have to.
earliest I remember is I was, I think, 6 years old.
Okay, very young, yeah. And can you actually see what came from behind and clobbered you?
In the memory, I was literally ran over
Oh,
by
okay.
other kids.
Right,
We
right.
we was in the classroom in the first day in school, and I was scared as hell, and I was crying all the time, and we were going for a break, and I s- I fell somehow, and the kids ran over me.
From behind. Did you fall forward and they ran over your back?
Yeah,
Yeah. And would you say ever since then you've been as much as possible prepared for that to happen again?
I think it was almost like a confirmation of why I was scared,
Mm,
because I already was scared.
yep, yep. You were scared. Were you scared because of the environment you were in? You were in with these other kids who were what, boisterous, loud.
I don't remember.
Uh,
One moment.
yep. Hi, Maya.
Hello.
You home or back at work?
Still at home flying in the afternoon.
So, Ramis, would it be accurate to say that you've always been scared for as long as you can remember?
There was one memory I remember that I wasn't scared. I already told this memory, like uh, sleeping on my dad's lap.
Was that before the incident at school?
I don't know, but it
Yep.
feels like the earliest memory I have.
Yep. Yep. Got it. And you felt really safe and relaxed then.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think I might I I can't really tell, but it was the most relaxing one, you could say, or the least scary.
Yeah. Would you go as far as to say you felt protected?
I don't know.
Okay. What's coming to mind now is that what your father did for you in that image, in that memory, you now do for your mother and your grandmother.
Oh, how? What do you mean?
That you try to make them feel safe. You reassure them. You protect them. You look after them
I don't
emotionally.
feel like I don't feel like I'm doing that.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like you should do that? Do you attempt to do that and don't succeed, or is it what?
I don't know if there is a movement of trying something, but I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It almost feel like the contraction as um, something to stand on, or I would just fall.
Yes. So if we said it gives you support, would that be accurate?
I guess it's trying, but it's not succeeding.
Not very good at it. Yeah. Yet, would it also be accurate then to say, even though it's not very good at it, even though it's trying, we couldn't do without it?
It's like it has a job that it's not its job, but there is no alternative.
So you can see, I guess, from that the idea of it not being there could be quite even alarming.
I can't really say that I even understand what that means.
Mm. I guess I have a story that says, in spite of the unpleasantness of it, you need it. In spite of the fact that it doesn't do its job very well, you need it. But I'm asking, not telling. Yeah.
I can't say that I need it.
Okay, yes, it is needed. Yeah. What comes to mind when I say what needs it or who needs it? Which one of those is more accurate and what comes to mind?
I guess the child needs it.
Okay, that's a big one. Right. Okay. Yeah. The child in you now or the child?
Yeah,
Yeah. We have a saying. We have a saying here. Here, I don't know how universal it is, but about standing on your own 2 feet. Is that something that you've heard? You know what that means?
Yeah.
And because children need help, need support, we say they're not standing on their own 2 feet. So really, what we're talking about with standing on your own 2 feet is being independent of help, protection. But what just happened? What just happened then? I think is really significant, and that is you recognise that that child is still in you. That child that needs protection, that would love to be able to curl up on a protective person's lap and get succour from that. That would just be so good, eh? And here you are having to pretend that you can stand on your own 2 feet because you're physically of an age where that should be happening. Do you think that's too big a stretch?
No.
Would you go as far as to say that you, as an adult, the adult part of you, recognizes that child who still needs protection and support? Oh, support. There you go. There's that tension, support. Um, that child uh, is um, not recognizing a reality, but rather is lost in a child's story about these things.
Yeah, he has his own bubble of reality.
Hmm. Can you?
I
Yes, go on.
The reason I'm saying that is I was able to see outside this bubble of reality
When?
for moments.
As recently, now, or when?
Like 2 days ago or something.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So seeing outside that, mm, made clear that the bubble of reality existed. Would that be right?
It made me realize that things can seem different as they seem.
Yes.
They can be seen differently.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is maybe a big jump here. Would you say that it is fear that kept the young Rames from recognizing that there was something outside that bubble of reality for a long time? Was it fear that kept him locked into that bubble of reality? Fear of what would happen if, or no, just fear, maybe existential fear, not any reasonable fear.
Only when I'm at the edge of it, there is existential fear. But I think it was just before, it was just an awareness.
Mm. And when it almost didn't touch you before.
I was not, I did not question, or it didn't come to my mind to question the bubble of reality.
Mm. Mm. But when you're inside it, you don't recognize it as a bubble, do you? It's your whole world. It's only
No,
when you can get outside of it or get to the edge of it that you can see that it exists as a bubble.
yeah.
Mm. So this for me brings us right back to your very first question. Things are different. Definitely, things are different. Just recognizing that that's the case is a huge shift. It can be a scary place to be too, though. Now that you can traverse the edges of it, and it becomes much more fragile as well. But we don't need to force anything.
I feel
Would
like I need to make more effort somehow.
oh no,
And
don't do
not,
that. Yes, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
You're not.
even
Yeah.
in the relative life, I feel like uh, it's happening. It's just I'm pushing myself over the edge, or uh, it's a struggle, but it feels the right thing to do.
Hmm. Okay. Well, what I would like to offer you at this stage is that it's happening anyway, and the apparent effort that you're putting in, the apparent courage that you are applying to the situation, all of that is correlation, not causation. Right? So it's just an extra thing, but it's happening because you were ready for it to happen. It's not happening because you're putting effort into it. You don't need to put the effort into it, but if you do put the effort into it, it happens, but not because of that. It just happens anyway. It happens because you're ready for it. So you don't try to put the effort in. You don't try not to put the effort in. Now that'll just happen or not happen. But the actual movement comes from what you recognize, what you discover. And you're much more likely to discover if you sit back and watch rather than if you go forward and look for. If you go forward and look for, you narrow your focus. So I suspect that that's just happening, just simply because you're ready for it. And when there's fear and we see it happen anyway, we then often say, well, okay, we were courageous, took courage to do that. But again, that's quite, that just happens in parallel rather than being the cause of anything. Yeah. would you agree with me that it's been fear that maintains the edges, that maintains the integrity of that bubble of reality? It's been fear that keeps the eggshell in place.
Maybe.
Hmm. When you say maybe, I totally accept maybe. Um, does something else come to mind that may have been doing that other than the fear?
Maybe fear, but it can be mixed with other things like shame or
Okay, yes, yeah. Yeah, these things are all mixed up, aren't they? Yeah.
just not having the right circumstances for things to
Hmm.
be challenged
Or to change, yes.
or to be
S
seen through.
Yep. So can you see that your current position in this is that circumstances have changed and are supporting your exploration and your discovery in this?
Yeah, it's almost funny sometimes.
I don't know why that makes me laugh. Yeah. Yeah.
Like an elaborate joke.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing is an elaborate joke, actually. Yeah. Once you get outside of it, you'll go, "What? How does that ever be? How did it ever happen?" Yeah. But inside it, no, it's a different story altogether. Yeah. Yeah. This, all the time we've been talking and together, this is the most tangible thing that I've experienced with you. This is the most tangible um, offering of change and potential that I've seen in you altogether. Except that from if I think back to when I first knew you, you were way less confident than you are these days. You were very shy. You hardly ever showed your face. When you did, you hardly ever spoke. And now you speak with quite a strong sounding voice when you speak. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Yeah. So in my eyes, you have changed already over that time. It's been 12 months or something. I don't know how long, but yeah, you have changed. So, but this is really tangible. This is accelerated change, I think. Even though it may not seem like that to you. Yeah. What do you think, Bianca? Do you think Ramis has changed since we first met him?
Yes.
The, was Bianca here before or
Yeah,
I
she
don't
was.
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
I was here all the time.
And you two are so wow, so inside each other's head. You guys really know each other in a way. Well, it's obvious to me. Yeah.
They also understand how it can seem that someone has changed, but it's just that they are showing more of themselves.
Thought that arrives here is that it takes change for that to happen.
Well, it can just be no, I have to get used to new people.
Okay, yep. Well, it could be that, yeah. Yes, we all see what we want to see, and I want to see change.
Well, I can tell you what changed here. I have tried stretching and I felt like it was not reaching deep enough. And when I came across self-myofascial release, it is basically self-massage. It's like
Yep.
you apply pressure or, or take a rolling pin.
Yep, yep.
And like it felt good. I feel like it was doing something. And now I feel even more tired than before.
Mm.
And I feel like it's a good thing. It feels like this resistance to tiredness has diminished.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. So since you've done that, you haven't had a sleep. That's just been today, is it?
No, yesterday.
Right. So did you feel different when you woke up this morning?
Tired.
Still tired?
Well, it is morning. It's 7 o'clock. And
Right. So logically, if resistance to tiredness might well be tight muscles, it might be, what stress. I mean, the facial muscles that you worked on, the outside muscles, the ones on the surface, they with stress, they build up lactic acid. And when you do that kind of massage, you eliminate a lot of that, and then there's no resistance to tiredness, so you feel tired. I could almost imagine that you then with after that tiredness, you then go to sleep, and when you wake up, most likely thing, I think, would be that tension would be back again, because that's been a constant companion for a long time, maybe. I mean, this is just a story that I build up. So you need to keep doing it to the point where when you wake up, you feel good. You feel relaxed and good. It's just habit that brings back the tension and the stress all the time. So it's like a new normal that you have to get used to, where there is no stress and it's not a reaction to the tiredness. So I suspect that you need to do it for a while to get rid of that tension in the facial muscles, and then sleep until you wake up feeling different. Do you always
I
wake up feeling
haven't.
tired?
No, I haven't done it with my face. I was focusing on limbs.
Mm-hmm. It's limbs where you felt it though, wasn't it? You said that yesterday or the other
Yeah.
day. Yeah, arms and legs. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm saying it, it sounds like a good experiment, but you need to keep doing it to see the benefit from it. Just doing it once is not. You're not going to expect immediate long-term results, immediate short-term results maybe, but not long-term. So after you did it, then you felt really tired. You were like your protection against the tiredness or the whatever that wasn't there anymore. So you really felt tired. Is that what happened?
No. Yesterday, when I was doing it, it was a new thing and it felt good, and I felt excited most about it.
Hmm. You probably also massage the lymph system as well, which of course is the part of the body that cleans the body. So that's probably also something that happens when you do that. Although lymph glands are not just in the arms and legs, but very it depends. If you right up underneath your arms, then you'll get lymph glands as well. But they can benefit from being massaged for sure.
Do you, Bianca, do TRE?
No, I've heard about it, mm, but somehow didn't happen.
But you do it, don't you, Ramesh? Have done it.
Yeah, almost every day, and it seems to activate the body even more. But I can't just stop. Like whenever I lay down, my body wants to shake.
Does it feel to you like it's a release?
No,
So what does TRE stand for? Trauma release something?
Exercise, I think.
Exercise, yeah. So does it feel more to you like it's an expression of what your body's experiencing?
it's like the body has a lot of energy moving and wants to shake it.
Mm, mm. Do you feel
Okay.
you've expended some of that energy when you've finished?
It's more like the energy gets more chaotic
Mm.
all over the place. And instead of like frozen, it's and it vibrates from down to up. And it feels like there is a huge density in the throat area that's pushing through, and it can vibrate very strong in the throat.
And it gets past that or it gets blocked there?
It gets to my head, and my head feels so much pressure.
But it doesn't come out.
It, I guess it comes as tears a lot.
Mm.
And it makes me feel exhausted also. That's why I asked Bianca.
Mm. Would you say that it only uses energy that's already in there, or would you say that it actually generates stuff of its own?
No, I was already feeling tension, and
Hmm.
but it just
So,
it makes it move.
yep, yep. Have you imagined it going from top to bottom, in the other direction?
No,
What comes to mind, I don't know TRE, other than just of it a little, but what comes to mind is that we often think that we'll radiate out our fingertips and we'll radiate out of our feet. Um, and I just wonder if what you're doing is building up pressure in your head from all of this. I wonder if you tried to do it outwardly, move it out your fingertips and out your feet, go from top down and top out, or inner to out. Do you think you would have could you do that? Can you choose the direction that you move it in?
I don't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible?
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing I would say, imagine it. Imagine it moving from your inner core to out of your body and go out via your fingertips and the soles of your feet. Move it out in that direction and just try it and see what happens.
Does it need visualization?
Well,
Because
that
I
would
can't.
you don't have to see it happening that way if you're having trouble visualizing it, but you can imagine it happening that way, even if the imagination isn't a visual thing. I mean, if you just shake your hands like that, you can get a feeling of throwing it outwards, throwing out energy, and like you do that way, push it. And you can actually feel a pressure build up in your fingertips when you do that. It's just gravity, but you can feel that going out. Just
I will
experiment.
try.
Yeah, just experiment and see what happens. Yeah. If I'm not suggesting you do it now, but um, if you were to stand up and just swing your arms around in a big circle, you'll feel the pressure build in your fingertips just from centrifugal force, just by swinging them around. So you get that impression of stuff moving out to the extremity. And once you get a feel for that, you just bring that into play with your TRE so that you're seeing it happen in that direction out the end of you. We don't want to bottleneck it. We don't want it to build up in the head. When you say it comes out as tears, does it also come out of your nose and your mouth? Do you get a runny nose?
Yeah, the usual.
Mm, mm, yeah, because a very, very limited way of getting out of our head. Yeah.
I tried with the movement with the hand and arms a
Mm,
few times. I was able to feel the energy in the hands. Usually I would feel like really angry, yeah. And it's I feel it in my hand and
mm.
arms.
Well, I'm not sure it is, but I think I haven't tried TRE because my body shakes on its own. No
Yeah.
TRE needed. Um, mm,
The way I understand it, TRE is simply utilizing what the body already knows, which is to do that kind of thing.
yeah, but also is it like Rami's saying that for me this shaking of the body is just expressing what is happening in me, but it's not releasing.
Mm,
And shaking my hands also wouldn't help.
mm. Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of,
So now I don't know, because after one evening of the self massage, it's I have no idea.
mm,
Is it even connected? Yeah, I maybe I woke up tired of because of
yeah, other reasons, yeah.
other reasons,
Mm.
but it felt good. I don't know. It was like just doing this one exercise. It felt like, oh, this is for me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, trust
Like
your intuition. Yeah, go with it.
yes, like it's reaching this deep in these tensions.
Yeah. So are you using a rolling pin to do that, or are you using just your hands to do that?
Well, it depends on part of the body.
Mm,
Yeah, on my thighs, I used rolling pin, and on hands, just my fingers.
mm, mm. I mean, if your body likes it, it's obviously doing something good. Mm.
Yeah, it is quite nice to be just tired without the resistance to being tired.
I feel like the crying intensely or also laughing, they seem to like go as much deep to the tension as
Yep,
well. Like they almost have the same effect of energy moving.
yep. And the big thing with both of those things is that the hormonal release in the body, you change the hormones when you do that. So the stress hormones get overwhelmed by other hormones. When you both cry and laugh, you produce other hormones, good hormones, ones that drive the stress hormones out. So that changes the way things feel. Mm. So what's been your experience for the last day or so, Maya?
Moving by millimeters. Uh, the first thing was I started playing with this feeling of observing whoever does what what they do, and I remembered that this feeling of observing, watching my hands doing something, comes also in other moments, like making tea or something. But these are repetitive things. When I do repetitive things that I do every day, that I do so often, then it's easier.
Yep, yep,
So I was observing myself more and more. But this wasn't very deep. These were just small small like impressions that, oh, it's now I'm observing, and as you said, when you walk, seeing your feet moving, it was just really a millimeter closer to what I think should be. And then I remember there were moments when I was watching all those videos. I don't know who I was watching. Awakened People, Non-Duality, Rupert Spira, Angelo Di Lullo, anyone. When I'm watching them, and at first I thought it's easier. It's easier when you watch yourself, when you watch your own movements. Then it's easier to see than in other people. But then I remember when I watch all those people talking in YouTube, there are also moments when I can see them just moving and just talking, observing them,
Mm,
like it is just happening and not like normal, like
mm,
being me present and watching someone. So I saw that these moments are more frequent than I thought. Or I had the impression they became more frequent than I thought. So, and other cracks now. Now, when you were talking with Ramis, you said something about having fear and doing it anyway. And I heard this like having fear and doing it anyway. And then later on, we say we had courage to do something. But I remember us talking about this the last time, or really very recently. And then you were saying the same thing to me, and I was unable to see that the courage is not something I put into the situation. You said it's just correlation. There was fear, and you did it anyway, but it wasn't courageous. It was just like it was. I wasn't able to see it now, but now when you said it to Ramis, it was much closer to home than before. So there
mm.
are cracks. And then yesterday evening, when I went to bed, I had a rough day and I was irritated. I was really feeling irritation. And I thought to myself, oh, this is a good, it somehow feels like a good moment to work with it, with the irritation and thoughts at the same time, and my problem to see that they aren't related. Well, I still think they're related, but I was able to really sit in between them, and I was able to see when I think of the one, when I observe the sensation, then the thoughts are not here. Or when I observe the thoughts, the sensation is not here. So it must be somehow that they are disconnected. And I was solidly in this state yesterday evening. So I somehow I was open to the possibility that they are not connected, let's say. Not that I had the big epiphany, oh, they're not connected, and I feel it now.
Mm,
It's really clicked. No. But I clearly saw that there is one and there is another.
yep.
And I found it funny that all those things that irritated me, there were thoughts in the evening. They are not happening anymore, but they were in my head. I just thought of them like, oh, thing one, thing two, thing three, they're not important. What happens is really not important anymore. They're just thing one, thing two A, thing two B or something. There were more of them. Okay, thoughts. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, they're here, and the sensation is here. And this was the feeling yesterday. So cracks are appearing, and I'm seeing
Yeah,
them.
yeah, good stuff. Yeah. So what we're looking for is a falling into a recognition that although we only see it from moment to moment under certain circumstances, it actually happens all the time, that they're never connected, that they're always You know, life goes on, and then we have thoughts about it, and
Mm.
that's so for everybody, just not just ourselves. So once we recognise that it happens once, it's we want that to trip us into the realization that it's actually always happening all the time for everybody, whether they realise it or not. Realising it has got nothing to do with it, but it's you realising it that that enables you to go, oh yeah, okay. And then after that, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether you realize it or not after that. Once you've seen it, it's changed you. And then
Yeah, okay.
yeah, it no longer becomes an issue. It no longer something we have to even think about after that.
And there was one more thing. It lasted for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. This exercise being here, seeing this and not seeing that, and or seeing that, not seeing this. And afterwards, I just stayed with the sensation. And I felt like, okay, this is now the sensation, but there are also other perceptions coming in, hearing something, okay, a thought appearing, or feeling somewhere in the body, like sensations, like when the painting comes together, a stroke here, a stroke there, sensations like strokes making a painting.
Mm, mm,
And I wasn't very deep into the sensations. I was just observing them. And there was this need not to talk about the sensations. I am not to think about them like I am hearing this, I am seeing that, I am feeling that. But there was more like a need to narrate in my head, but in other language, like there is just now there is hearing is happening. This is the kind of language I heard from awakened people, and I couldn't relate to it. I could hear it, but I couldn't relate to it. There was a situation now in me that was narrated in the same language style. Something is happening. Something is just happening. Hearing is just happening. Feeling is just happening. Thinking is just happening. I'm still not there, but I had a glimpse of it.
mm.
And it was really the feeling that I was made up of these strokes of the painting. I was a
Yeah,
painting made of strokes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you ever seen uh, a YouTube video or whatever on whatever? Anyway, it's like one comes to mind is a Chinese lady, and she walks up to this wall and she just throws a bucket of paint on the wall, just a
No,
whole bucket of paint all over the wall. And then she goes in and she starts just making strokes here and there. And next thing you know, there's this amazing tiger on the wall. But in the beginning, it was just strokes. And then
there's nothing.
eventually
Yeah,
it becomes something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see that. Yeah,
but this was becoming me. This was becoming me. These strokes
yeah,
of making were making me.
yep, yeah,
Still not mine. It's still not mine. But it's there. It's
yeah, yeah. Well, there's a really interesting one there, you know, like it, what came to mind was it's never going to be yours. It's in fact what it is it objectifies you in a way, in the sense that you become no different to the stroke that makes up the tree or the road or the dog or any of those kind of things, you know. So there's no ownership. It is just the way everything is formed in and out.
Mm.
Yeah,
And I'm still I remind myself all the time that I should take it easy. No effort, no clinging, no,
Yeah, good stuff.
no,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
pushing myself because I see I have to do this. I have to do this. Otherwise, I
yeah,
go crazy about stuff, and then
yeah. Well, it's our nature, isn't it? Our nature is to grasp. You know, to feel,
yeah,
to think that we've been trained to think that we get stuff because we earn it or deserve it or something like that. You know, and it's just not the
mm,
case. Yeah,
mm.
you are everything, and everything is you, and you don't have to do anything for that to be the case. It just is. Yeah.
It's slowly dawning on me. Slowly.
Yeah. I get so excited every time I hear you talk. I can feel that movement. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, but I still, yesterday there was also a thought, I am convincing myself of it. I'm talking myself into it. But then,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
yeah,
good one. Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
believe it. I don't believe it. I just try to dismiss it in some way.
yeah,
So
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
talk myself into it. Because, but
yeah.
then you say always, no, it will only happen on its own.
Mm,
You cannot do anything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I cannot remind myself to relax or to see something in a special way, in another way than
Mm.
I'm looking normal. So, but this one, then the thought comes, okay, I have to trust. I have to trust that it is this way. It's still not solid experience in me. I'm talking myself into it. No, you wouldn't talk yourself into it if the thought weren't ready to come.
Of course not. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And there's a kind of an irony in it that although you say you have to trust, there's no such thing as trust. There's only distrust or the lack of it. And so when you say, I have to trust, it is really a case of recognizing that the mistrust are just thoughts and that they will be there regardless. But we just get bored with them. In the end, we just don't bother to take any notice of them simply because
Mm.
they have no substance. They're just thoughts. You know, the analogy
I
I
hope.
keep using is if you go to the magic show and watch the man saw a woman in half, uh, if you go back 5 times in a row, on the fifth time you go, why am I here? This is just so boring, you know, even though you still don't know how he's doing it. And that's how you treat the mistrust or the doubt. You just get bored
Mm.
with it, and it's not an issue anymore. Yeah, you'll
I
never
just I
resolve
just
them.
I just hope this attitude of mine yesterday, like stuff one, stuff two, stuff three, that this is the glimpse of it, that the thoughts are
Yes.
not that heavy anymore. Yeah.
Hmm.
Whatever irritated me, it's not. Yes, it was the situation. It was the energy coming from people. It was my resistance to talk to them and
Yeah.
everything. But never mind.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. And look, that's fully awake. That stuff will still be there until it's not, until it's seen for what it is. So we'll
Mm,
constantly find that things will arise. Yeah.
mm,
I have an issue going at the moment where somebody I work with here, a neighbour, and I've been helping him in his business and working with him, and he annoys the shit out of me sometimes because he does stupid things like he keeps saying, "Well, I'm not stupid," you know, and I think, why the hell do you say that kind of stuff? Anyway, for 2 years I've been working with him, and I've been quite zen-like, as a way of putting it, with him most of the time. But recently, it really got to me, and so like so. it's not him, it's me. It's something in me now. That intolerance has come up, and so I've got something to work on, and I am at the moment. But yeah, I I can't imagine the time coming when nothing comes up ever. You know, it'll always be there. Bits and pieces of things will happen, and sometimes we think we've resolved it, and then it'll come back. You know, so
Mm.
yeah, we don't ever expect perfection, or I don't anyway.
Mm.
I'm open to the idea that for some they may reach that where it never happens, but I can't imagine it. Who knows? Yeah, we're human after all.
Yes. But it's easier if you have tools, if you have experience, what to do, how to do when a situation arises.
Yeah, but with this stuff, I notice too that it it can kind of sneak up on you, and we we don't realize what's going on because of the way it happens until a certain point, and then yes, okay, now that's happened, you know, and then we can dig the tools out and use them to look at it. But yeah,
Mm.
sometimes they're very sneaky the way they come up on us.
How do you work with it?
Looking at it without thinking about it, but looking at what is actually going on is the real key for me. And one of the things that I've been doing is I've started meditating again. For the first time in 14 years, I've started meditating, not as a way to, and I'm very cognizant of this, not as a way to suppress it, but a way to find a way into what my intolerance is about. And I think it's the same thing that I've come up with so far. It's the same thing that I've discovered on two previous occasions, that there is a belief in me about how things should be that I carry around. Some arrogance in me that says I know how the world should be, and I relate to that. So I suspect that it's that more than anything else, and that's just much deeper than. Right. I imagine. And that probably goes back, and I have an image that I associate with that, and that's me standing in front of the fridge as a kid, demanding ice cream and getting it because I want it. So it's like it's a fed of four thing of desire where it appears like if I want something with enough energy, that will bring it about. So it's a yeah, total delusion, of course. But it's something that's in me there to look at. So the big thing is to see what's going on, to see what is actually there, not think about it as much as recognize what triggers are and what the response to those triggers are.
Is it possible that it might be sitting on top of something else?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, that the first thing that, and it just seems a bit superficial to me. So my intuition says, um, that's not the whole thing. That's just the superficial thing, and that is that there's this idea of that I know how things that I believe I know how things should be, and that's that's sitting on top of something much deeper. But that's the superficial part of it. I mean, the ridiculous thing is, that this man has got a lot of self-induced suffering going on, um, and he runs around in circles and he says the same thing over and over again and so on. And my first inclination was just to remove myself from it, just to avoid it. But that's not the way to go. So really, the best thing for me is to continue to be triggered if that happens till I see why. So the idea is that it shouldn't be there is a belief that's there, but that's obviously too superficial. So yes, it is sitting on something much deeper, and I think it's that idea that my want has power.
Does seeing that belief makes the belief less convincing?
Yeah, when I first saw the first time that it got stimulated, the idea that I know how things should be, yes, it was a big epiphany. There was that sudden realization about how ridiculous it is that I think I know how things should be. That was pretty crazy, yeah. But it now appears that there's something underneath that is not so obvious. Um, and so I get that image of me standing in front of the fridge demanding ice cream and getting it. Um, that's not enough. That image is not enough for me to release what's going on there. There's still that belief that my want has power. And yet at the same time, there's no inclination to try and change what's going on. It's really a case of being prepared to live with it until it exposes itself.
How do you feel the trigger?
Annoyance and wanting to remove myself, wanting to just avoid it.
Does it appear in the body?
Mm. Yeah, it is a body reaction. Yeah. Well, annoyance is very much a body reaction as well. But I, I was with him this morning for maybe half an hour, I suppose, and I didn't feel any of that annoyance. But I it sounds a bit weird. I kind of want to feel that annoyance again. It was too easy. It was too superficial. It seemed to me to not feel annoyance this morning, even though he's doing that. But no, he didn't do it quite so much either. So that makes it a bit tricky. The circumstances were a bit different. Um,
Can you manufacture the trigger?
I could, but I haven't been. So thank you for that. That's a reminder. Yes, I could do that. Um, and that's, yeah, immediately it comes to mind that yes, I should. See, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you.
How do you mean Ram is manufactured a trigger?
Well, with the feta work, they call it take it back to the lab, and what they do is that they
Okay.
come up with a sentence
Okay.
that will do it. But I don't have
Yeah.
to use a sentence. I can just imagine the situation, and I'll get some juice. So in that case, it's using the feta model. It's very much a case of getting the Goldilocks amount of energy behind it, not too much. I don't want to get a full-on reaction to it. I just want to feel some energy so that I can look at it. crazy
use
because
What?
yeah,
Oh, Ramis, you had a question.
I was just gonna say I use the reverse inquiry from KI. Like if something annoys me, I always tell myself I'm not annoyed by it, and I see what happens in the body.
okay, yeah.
It works always.
What got my attention? Uh, Vince, you were talking about this ridiculous belief that I know what is right, and but when you said that running away or avoiding something is not the right way to go,
No, that's right. Yeah.
and it's like, you still think you know what's the right way.
Yeah, almost certainly the inclination that comes up is avoidance. Yeah. Mm. And we're so good at fooling ourselves. Doesn't matter how good we are at this, we can fool ourselves so easily. Yeah.
Now I think I should have done the same with my annoyances yesterday. But on the other hand, it's good thing that I didn't do that because I needed my annoyances for other type of exercise. I needed the annoyance, I needed the sensation, and I needed the thoughts about stuff. So it's good I didn't get rid of the annoyances the other way because I needed the experience of being annoyed.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I thought I should treat the annoyance, which is my older cousin, the same way. I ghosted her yesterday. I ghosted her for days. I didn't reply her calls because there's nothing to talk about. Actually, just her annoying me. But okay, I put the experience to good use. I shouldn't remove the trigger yet.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's a big one. And you don't do it, you don't stay with it because you say you shouldn't do it. That's just a story that comes along afterwards. There is a knowing. And so that study that says that the MRI study that the researchers did and say, there's a variety of them. There's quite a few of them actually, but that the researcher can tell by what goes on in the brain what's going to be decided quite some time before the person makes it, before the person themselves knows. So if we look at that, what happens is the brain mm, considers all of the conditions and then makes a decision, and then afterwards the person realizes what the decision the brain has made. It's kind of like a weird way to put it, but yeah, that happens. Um, and that's the way it is all through life. There's all these conditions that turn up, and the brain just evaluates them and comes to a conclusion, and then along comes the mind and says, "Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I made the I made the decision." Yeah.
And I heard Alan Watts say, when you have to make a decision, you gather all the evidence, all the pros and cons and everything, and then you make a snap decision.
Yeah, yeah.
ask about something, you, Vince. Recently, I feel like you with me and also with others, you seem a bit careful of pushing people over the edge or something. Is that true?
It's not a conscious thing. I haven't thought to myself, the thoughts haven't turned up to say don't do something or do something, but it probably is something that's constantly in the background. I guess I have a story that seems right to me, and that is that people are ready when they're ready, and it's not up to me to do anything other than to offer them what they seem to be ready for. But I can get it wrong so easily. So, I mean, it appears to me like what I do is just constantly seek more information, more understanding of what's going on, and that everything else follows that. So do you have somebody in mind or some situation in mind about me not pushing them over the edge? What do you mean over the edge? You mean into what?
Not necessarily, or I mean, sometimes you appear careful what to say, at least to me.
It's
Like
probably
a
not.
couple of
Yeah,
times.
my experience is probably not that I'm careful about whether to say something or not, but rather I frequently find myself tr like exactly this moment, right? Trying to find a way to express what thoughts, what's there, not even what thoughts are there, but to I frequently can't find the right words to express something. And I do, and yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's like again, it's a bit like what Maya's talking about. You know, I could add a post-it note to the reality of what I'm saying that says, uh, I'm hunting, I'm looking for the right words to express something, or what I don't want to do always is put words in people's mouth. I want to offer stuff that they can affirm or refute. So it's always kind of like an exploration. And with this
Um,
stuff, it's really hard to express what's going on.
for me, the reason I'm asking is I get careful with people when I can't, when I feel like I don't know how to handle uh, what will they experience, or how I will react to the reaction, for example.
No, I don't do
And
that. That's you got to have a story about what might happen for that. And I'm not aware of that happening for me. So I don't talk with the fear that it might go wrong. It's much more a case of looking for the most accurate way to express something. So you have a concern that you might cause a certain kind of reaction. Is that what you're saying?
um, I think it might be related when you said you have a belief of how things should be, and I can recognize this in myself of um, like wanting to save someone or to help someone, and it can, in a way, it's like I'm I'm making it about myself sometimes.
Mm. That's natural. I think we all do that. Yeah, but to some extent or another. And there is certainly, I do recognise that there is a desire to help. Um, I wouldn't go as far as to say wanting to save, but certainly would like to help. But I don't measure myself against success or failure in that area. It's just a driving force that's there. I kind of I want good things for everybody. I want good things for everybody in the whole world. I guess because I want good things for myself.
When I notice this, I usually try to own um, like if I have an idea about what someone is going through, I would try to find it in me, and so I take back the projection and I just
Yep, yep.
wind back.
Sounds like a good thing to do. Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, may, would you uh, would you like to talk to the Vince alone? Because I was thinking about, it's but maybe you're not worried so much about Vince's reactions as about reactions of others. It happens to me. I can be harsh with someone, but when there are others listening, it's different. And
Yeah, I can see that I'm more. I can be more conservative when I'm in a group. What I say, especially when it's related to somebody else. Or
You're always welcome. When I send out those emails once a week, there are links on that where you can hook up for a one-to-one session with me if you want. You're always welcome to do that. Yeah,
thank you.
everybody is. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very introvert, but somehow I don't I not just here, but always. I don't think what I'm talking about. I just talk. I just open up. At the same time, introvert, and at the same time, not
Yep.
holding myself back.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I feel I'm the same. Yeah, in that way. Yeah.
And I
I'm
think
quite.
sometimes maybe I should be different around other people, not here. Here, I think it's important to say really, to talk really from my heart. But in other places, I don't know. At work or somehow, I'm never harsh. I'm always kind. I'm always considerate. But somehow maybe people don't need to hear everything.
Mm, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, no matter how careful we are, there'll be some people that will find and take offence and whatever, and no matter how harsh we are, some people will be quite relaxed about it. Who knows? Yeah. I think being authentic with ourselves is a beginning, and that way we don't lie to ourselves, but we do anyway, I guess. Um, and being authentic with others doesn't mean that we're not uh, cognizant of consequences. So, we can be, much more considerate in the way we present something, and sometimes it's just inappropriate to be authentic and too blunt. But I often use that bluntness to entertain myself with other people as well, especially in a gentleish kind of way, not harsh. But yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? But doing this stuff, I've come to the point where it's I don't think about what I'm going to say. I just open my mouth and out it comes. Yeah. But at the same time, there is kind of a knowing, there's a background awareness of possible consequences and so on. But I frequently do put my foot in it, saying things that I should, perhaps better I didn't say. But I don't apologise for that either. It just happens. If it happens, it happens. Yeah.
I feel that I reject to be inauthentic for some reason, everywhere.
Say that one again.
I reject to be inauthentic
In yourself.
with everyone, anywhere. I'm not inauthentic.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that's good.
In these academic circles, when you speak up somewhere in a meeting or something, there's always expected that you have a certain kind of vocabulary, tone, anything. I don't. I don't. There's nothing to hide.
Mm.
I mean, I'm me. What
Yep.
I can do, what I cannot do, I've written in my papers. Why would I act and pretend to be someone else
Yeah,
anyway?
exactly. Yeah, that's good. Yet a lot of people do, of course, and then you have to live with that as well. Yeah.
I was doing this so much. And it's not like I had a choice.
Mm.
It's like it was stronger than me. I was doing it and hating it at the same time. Probably still doing it.
I see that now. People have to do it for some reason, and I don't have to ask why. But on the other hand, what I can see that I'm judging it, which is something to work with.
Mm, good. Yeah. Yeah, there's a fine line between just recognizing it, describing it, and judging it. A very fine line. And I often say any opinion is a judgment as well. So that kind of makes it a bit easier to recognize because we easily have opinions about things when, yeah. But if we're inclined to judge, then that's something to look at. It's not something to not do, it's something to look at. Yeah.
Look how good it is to speak out my mind. I would, if I didn't say this, I wouldn't have come to the conclusion that I'm judging, and that this is something I need to work with.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. I love it. You've got a handle on this. This is great. Yeah.
I remember Gurdjieff was talking about sincerity, being sincere, that it's very difficult to be sincere with oneself. It's like a skill you need to learn.
So what did he mean by sincere? That's an interesting one, isn't it? Sincere.
Being authentic or true
Yes.
about what one at or feeling.
Yeah. I get really wrapped up sometimes in just the meaning of words and the common meaning of words or what their derivative might be as well. I just love that language thing. Um, and sincere has got a huge question mark for me. I just it doesn't. I mean, it's not quite the same as authentic, is it? There's a seriousness about sincere when authentic doesn't necessarily have that. Anyway, just this mind does weird things with words. Yeah.
That's what he would call mental associations.
Mm, yeah. He comes from a time when there were a lot more words than there are today for looking at things, I think, and perhaps that part of the world as well. Um,
I want to ask about something also in the work of Gurdjieff. He speaks about there's like a practice or not a practice. It's more like a commitment of not to express negative emotions,
oh,
not
okay.
to not to repress them or not to feel them, but not to express them to anybody.
Mm,
That's that like this is like a um I don't know.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, not to express them, but not to repress them. That's important. Yeah. Recognize that they might be there, gives you something to work with. To express them, this frequently will cause problems, cause unnecessary reactions. They're probably never helpful. I don't know if never is too strong a word, but I can't imagine it to be helpful to express a negative response. But again, it's like that's something to be examined. It's like a box full of possibilities, isn't it? I mean, if we experience a negative reaction, then we experience it, and it is, what do you call it? Something. It's something to work with. It is. It can be productive to recognise that we're feeling something negative. It doesn't help us to dump that on somebody else. Maybe sometimes to express it under the right circumstances could be productive, but not at random as such. If I was working with somebody and they experienced a negative reaction, then it would be appropriate to express it. So, but in that situation, if they expressed a negative emotion about me, about something I said or something I did, then that would tell me that we need to look at the reaction that's happened and maybe modify the way we approach it. So that would be productive, I think. But yeah, generally
In the work,
speaking, yeah,
they speak about using it as a practice. I think it's similar to the practice of staying in the gap of reactivity.
mm,
And it's like you put a stick in the wheel of the mechanical reaction and you examine it as it's happening.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a tricky one. If let's say in a social situation, if a negative reaction turned up and it wasn't expressed, story here is that the other person in that reaction would notice, but they would be confused because they wouldn't understand why, what was behind that.
If it was noticed, then it wasn't successful to hide it or not express.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if it,
Well, it gets noticed subconsciously often. Our body language gives things away, you know. We have an intuitive feeling about somebody, you know, and usually that's because if it's a negative intuitive feeling, it's because it's a contradiction. They're saying one thing, but they're believing another thing. And that gets people confused. But the consequences of expressing it could be pretty severe too. depending. Might be the last time you talk with that person. Who knows? Yeah.
I don't think
Yes.
that was a concern, like the consequences. It was more about seeing what's happening,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
using it for work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the value in it. Yeah. And being authentic with ourselves means that we recognize that that's happening. We don't say, oh, I shouldn't be feeling that, and then try and hide it from ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
Can I drop a small bomb in this conversation?
of course.
When you said no, I shouldn't feel it, I shouldn't be happening. Isn't this categorization in good and bad feelings, positive and negative emotions? Isn't this a kind of judgment? The emotions are emotions. They are positive only if we said they are positive, only if we have a social consensus about what is positive and what is negative. It's the same for the emotions as for everything else. An emotion is an emotion. It is negative if the society says it's negative.
Mm.
So anytime if I react on my let's say negative emotion, the only thing that can happen is the other person starting the chain reaction, the other person reacting to my reaction, and the third person reacting, or me reacting to the second person's reaction. But this is all the matter of conditioning,
Mm.
just and only. Otherwise, if we are ideal persons who don't react anymore, who are clean inside and have no problems, then I have an emotion, I express my emotion, there is no reaction on the other side. There's no need to say this emotion was negative or it was positive. Is there something in it? I mean, this is just philosophizing.
Yeah, it's complex in that if you and I are talking, that's one thing. Because we have a unique social uh, um, container for what we talk about and how we talk and so on. But if we're just out in society in general, um, then the usual thing is that people will imagine things and they will react to what they imagine. Um, and so sometimes you say something that's not negative, but they take it as negative. Uh, so yes, it is the definition of negative and not negative is definitely a socially agreed upon definition.
I know why I'm saying it because I'm scratching where it itches. Uh, when I look at my mom and her how she connects to her cats, anytime she hears the cat meowing, she projects some kind of suffering in the cat. She's suffering,
Mm,
or uh, or a better one even. If the cat was just quiet all day and didn't demand anything, didn't meow, didn't show anything, it's a cat anyway. Then my mom says she was good today. She was good today. And I see her whole construct of being good in life. Being good is not having feelings, is not
yeah,
demanding, not expressing yourself. This is good. If you feel something, if you need to express your feelings, if you lead a normal life, because we always need something, we always want something, we always feel something. This is not good. You have to suppress everything you have in yourself. But this is just her projection.
Mm.
This doesn't exist. The cat is a cat. She's very natural. Her meowing is natural. Her needs are natural. Whatever she does is natural. She doesn't have a mask.
Right, yes, yeah. And of course, what's natural for her may well be what she's been trained in. So if she gets something to eat every time she meows, she'll start demanding stuff to eat, kind of thing. She learns to do that. My wife has trained our dog to want a treat every time she comes from outside to inside. She's just a dog,
Other
but
than that,
yeah, she demands a
but
treat. Yeah,
other than that, there is not much from them to demand from us.
yeah, yeah, that's
It's
right.
just
Oh,
small, really small stuff.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
But being good and being bad, being positive and being negative, this is my own view of the world. It's not that things are really
that's right. Yeah,
that.
yeah, and that's very normal. That's what we're conditioned to look at. Everything fits into that good or not so good, or bad and not so bad, or whatever. Yeah. And of course, what we're looking to here to do is to retrain our brain to see everything as just what it is, without the stories that say you this or that.
And I extend this story with my mom because she has dementia now, but she's just expressing herself. It was always like that I was good when not demanding something, when not feeling something.
Yeah,
I was good then. I see it now. I can see it just now. But okay, my attitude today, my attitude of the day is that it's just the stuff one, stuff two, stuff three.
yeah, yeah. Good one. Yeah,
I don't guarantee it for tomorrow, but today it's stuff one, stuff two. Okay, I can see it. Right. Let's
that's
go on.
perfect. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah,
I'm obviously not suppressing my feelings anymore. I'm free
yeah,
to have any feeling I want.
Well, I see this talking without negative emotions. It's like a skill. It's just like having a civilized conversation. So it always strike me that this right speech uh, precepts in Buddhism, they sound to me like a lesson on good manners, like gentlemen speak.
mm,
They are honest because gentleman is true to his word and
yeah,
never speak harshly. No idle chat. No, gentlemen talk business.
But boiling inside, what?
Yeah, but it is a good skill because I think every time I get angry to myself, I look so ridiculous. It's so, yeah, not ladylike. No, no, no.
yeah. When that one happens here, I get this kind of thing of Do you want me to be different to the way I am? Do you want me to pretend to be a certain way? It just I just can't kind of get it. You know, how can I do that? I have no ability to pretend anymore. You get what you get, and that's the way it is. But it's not quite like that. I mean, there is an inclination to want to be acceptable.
Well, you know, I'm laughing about this gentleman way, but I consider it a very good skill to have. And
Yeah.
And it really, you know, it gets the things done. Like, gentleman is diplomatic. He won't go offending anyone, but he knows what he wants, and you know, well, like well, it's just about things.
So is there a conflict in a gentleman being authentic? Or can the two live together quite happily? So if a gentleman is a gentleman because he's pretending to be something and he's not, that's different to if a gentleman's a gentleman because that's his nature.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
No, it's complicated.
My reaction to the non-expression of negative emotions was like, that's toxic. Like, I should be able to express myself. And then when I was reading, he said, if you think you need to express your negative emotion, you are weak.
Ah, I don't buy that, but yeah.
If we're able to see the triggers behind the negative emotions, then I think everything is okay. You have to act on them. But if you are just suppressing and not seeing why you're having them, then
Yeah, that's a different story, yeah. And if you're compelled to express them, that says something as well. You know, so I don't like the concept of weak or strong in that sense. You know, that suggests that we must be strong and overcome a desire. Um, it makes a lot more sense to put that in terms of consequences, you know, so that if you express a negative emotion, there may be consequences. But recognizing its existence is where it becomes useful, not the compulsion to express it. Yeah.
the whole British culture is built on not expressing.
Yes, yes.
The the Blitz spirit or the stiff upper lip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we have the exact opposite in America at the moment. So that's an interesting concept, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, look, I'm gonna go and make tea now. It's coming up to 7 p.m. here. And my wife will be out there. She'll probably even have made tea already. But anyway, it's my turn. So yeah. It's been an interesting meeting today. Very good. It's always good, isn't it? Yeah. And for a while, I thought it was only going to be me here.
I'm sorry. It starts at 5 o'clock here in the UK. It's just a bit too early. Sometimes I make it, but sometimes
Yeah, don't be sorry. I understand that. No worries. Yeah,
sometimes I come at 6.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I did think to myself, if nobody turns up, will I turn it off and go away, or will I sit here and meditate? And I just meditated. And then well, but Bianca was here, but her camera was turned off. Yeah.
Too tired to even turn my camera
Ah,
on.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks so much and enjoy your tea.
I will. I will. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.